Well, I knew we could talk a long time, but I thought we'd sneak this into the first interview, but I've left it for a different interview. Let's talk about the runners with Tony that he's got running on New Year's Day. And Tony, you've got 5 in total, unless something changes between New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. Thanks very much again for chatting to Clock in the Gallop on your runners. Let's start off with the horse Bell Stardust, which runs in the 4th race. Now we've got a 10-race program because those 2 feature races that were meant to run last week have been put forward. So Bell Stardust, I'm happy to say that when it won its maiden, I labelled it. And it was like 5 or 6 to 1. And we got everyone on Clock in the Gallop interested in it. And this horse isn't going to Hollywood by all standards, but what are its chances like on New Year's Day?
I wouldn't normally run a filly like this in a graduation plate because with her merit rating, she's far better off in a handicap. Yeah. The problem is that very seldom do we have these really low merit rating fillies races run on the grass. We're inclined to try and program the grass races for the horses slightly high up in the merit ratings, juvenile races, maiden plates, etc. So I believe she's a lot better on the grass. That's my gut feel, and she hasn't run on the grass. She's very seldom run on the grass. So she's getting, we're a little disappointed in her. She's a very sound filly, nice looking filly, but she lacks a bit of resolution in a race for some reason or the other. I've worked her with a tongue tie a number of times, and it hasn't improved her because we did believe that one of the riders have said to me that I can't remember one of the riders of her who rode in her last 2 starts mentioned she was making a little noise at the pull-up, but we haven't noticed it in work. She's been scoped. She's got a very good airway, and but she could be possibly choking up a little, but she has not worked well with the tongue tie. She's actually hasn't wanted to work on a number of occasions. So I've opted just to leave the tongue tie off for this run, and take the blinkers off as well. Sometimes I like to try different things. She's well in herself, Nico. I think the field's most probably far too strong for her, but I put a claiming Appy on. At least it's on the grass, and I do believe she'll like the sting out the ground, and the sting will be out the ground.
Okay, so that's the first of your horses. Then we're going on to the couple of horses that you've got in one of the delayed feature races. And when I first studied the Christmas handicap, which was due to be run on Boxing Day over 1,600 meters, I really liked Captain Casey. I thought nice galloping weight. But firstly, as a trainer, you pull your hair out when these things happen and it's where they're delayed, because you prime a horse to run on a particular day. This is coming, 5-6 days later. Firstly, tell us as a trainer how that affects what you do when that race is delayed for those days. It throws you out a little bit because you prime that horse to run on that day.
Yeah, every horse is different. So sometimes it would be in your favor. You might have wanted a little bit more time. Sometimes it works against you. In this case, it definitely hasn't worked in his favor. I was so confident he'd win the Christmas handicap. I'd put so much effort into it, and I had him absolutely spot on. Now we've had a delay, and it's not that he's gone off, although he pulled a shoe this morning and ended up standing on the shoe because it's very muddy. He got very fresh waiting for the tractor. We had to take the shoe off, take him back to the yard, re-shoe him, put the shoe, get the farrier out, and then work him afterwards. And of course, the tracks are very wet, and I would like to have done a little more with him. So it hasn't suited him that we've delayed this meeting by 6 days, which is unfortunate. Nico, he's a very good horse. I really think he's the best horse in the race by quite some distance, to be quite honest, although on form one may not see it that way. But the problem is he's hemoconcentrating. He really is hemoconcentrating badly. And the only reason I'm really doing this is because he's basically fit now. We missed a feature in Joburg. He'd had a few little issues along the way. I was going to take him and have a go at the Dingans. And this year wasn't the year to raid Cape Town for the Guineas with Charles Dickens and a few of the others. So I thought, well, I'll keep him in the tail. But he's going to be gelded a week after the Christmas handicap. We hear now, in himself, he's extremely well. But, the tracks haven't been good this last week, and I haven't done quite with him what I would have liked to have done. Everything was right for last Monday. Absolutely. So it's not quite the same. And it's not because it's been delayed. I'm kicking for touch. Last week, I was telling everyone I will win the Christmas handicap with Captain Casey.
I liked it so much. When I studied the card for that day, I made it a penalty kick. I really did. With the weight, it was getting 6 kilos from the favorite. I think Pyromanic was priced up as favorite. I really thought I'd get a good price, Captain Casey, but now that's the reason why I wanted to get you on the line, just to find out where you were going with it. Look, he may well sneak it still, but we can't say we're not saying he can't win, but certainly it would have suited you to have run on Monday.
Oh, without a doubt. So it's a bit unfortunate it's ended up that way. But look, it is what it is. And, we will go there and do our best. That's for sure.
Okay, Prince of Taranto runs in the same race. He's got Ant McGoodlewan, and if I'm looking here, I don't see any equipment changes, but you do have him classed to run in cheek pieces now.
Well, it's interesting. Captain Casey's got blinkers for the first time, and Prince of Taranto's got cheek pieces on. Yeah, and the only reason I put blinkers on Captain Casey is because I just think he's not focused in a race yet. He's a playful chap, and being an entire, I think the blinkers will make a difference with Captain Casey. With Prince of Taranto, I was going to put blinkers on, but when we've had blinkers on him before, he's inclined to overdo it a little bit. So I went halfway and have gone for the cheek pieces. Now, waiting a week has most probably been in Prince of Taranto's favor, because he'd run 9 days before the Christmas handicap. And although he was very well last week, he's remained very well, and he's not going to need any work. He's very well in himself. His last run was not his run, Nico. This horse is, on his day, he's better than his rating by a good 5 or 6 pounds. That I can promise you. But unfortunately, the last 2 or 3 runs, he's well, certainly 2 of them I wasn't that confident for various reasons. But last run, I thought he might run a bit better. But I'm going to try something different. When a horse sits in and suddenly you get this feeling on more than one occasion, which is now 2 or 3 occasions, that he hasn't done his best, I'm going to opt to send him to the front. He's very fit. I wouldn't do it with a horse that's, I don't think, super fit. He's very fit. And providing nothing goes helter-skelter, obviously, if something really goes fast, he'll sit second. But I'm going to tell Ant to have him right up there with the pace. I do think he'll switch off once he's in front. And if he gives his customary kick like he can, I tell you, Captain Casey won't beat him. Interestingly, they're half brothers. Captain Casey's a 3-year-old, he's a 5-year-old. The mare only had 2 foals, and I've got both of them. Prince of Taranto
has he ridden him at work? Has McGoodlew ridden him at work? Has he come out to ride?
Yeah, he's ridden him in work. Yeah, and he was very pleased with him.
Okay,
and he was very pleased with his work. So look, I mean, obviously, I think Captain Casey's the horse with the scope. I really think, Nico, when this horse is gelded next year, he will be competitive in the winter season with all those big horses. He's already shown that he is right up there with them. I think he's about the 6th or 7th highest rated 3-year-old around. But once I geld him, I think we'll see the best of Captain Casey. But of course, he can definitely win. But in my pick 6, I'm going to put both my horses in. That's the way I'm playing that race.
Okay, let's go to the 9th race. Again, you've got your final 2 horses on the day, both running in that same race. You've got Kimura, number 4 in the program, and the other one that you've got is Desolate Road. So let's talk about Kimura first. Most of his racing has really been done on the poly track, because those are the surfaces that they've been racing on majority of the time. But he goes back to the turf, and he hasn't done too bad on the turf. Would he probably be a better horse on the poly, or what would you think?
Well spotted, Nick. Well spotted. His form has all been on the poly. However, he did win his maiden on the grass, and he has run in his first time he ran. He was very unlucky to be beaten. The short head was on the grass. He won his maiden with Lyle Hewitson on the grass. So I wouldn't say he's a very fluid action. He's got a beautiful fluid action. It's just turned out that most of his races have been on the poly. He's a very genuine performer. He's extremely well in himself. I don't think that's going to be an issue, And I mean, the favorite, I think, is Maximus. If you look at them, they've run against each other 3 times. He's actually beaten Maximus twice. When Black White Dynamite, I think that was the form line. We ran second. We were just beaten. Maximus was just behind us in 4th. Then we beat Maximus, I think, a neck. And last time Maximus beat us quite easily. There's not a lot of difference in the weights on all those runs. So there shouldn't be much between them, except that we've seen Maximus has run well on the grass in recent starts. Most of his runs have been on the poly, if I recall correctly. But I did notice about 4 or 5 runs back, he ran a very good second on the grass as well. So he's got recent grass form, where Kimura obviously hasn't been on the grass, I don't think, for over a year. But he's drawn well, Kimura. If the grass isn't an issue, I think he's a massive runner.
Okay, and then Desolate Road, he's getting on in his years, but you run this for, when we spoke in the previous interview, for your very, very loyal patrons, Sada Naidu and Mary Liley. Desolate Road, tongue tie. You're putting the tongue tie on this one.
Yeah, he was a real, D's used to call him an ATM machine. I mean, every run, I think he's earned 500,000 stakes. He's won 5 races. He's always been there. Last 2 or 3 starts, he's been unlucky. He's been loaded early. He's kicked the back gates, played up and missed the break 2 lengths. Then he's not in the right position. He's found little bits of trouble when he starts to make a run. He's been held up for a few strides and getting on in years. You know, he's 7.5. If it's not going his way, I think he's just sort of turned it up. But Nico, he's actually, very interestingly, when we bought him as a youngster, and he was coughing a lot in training in the early days, as do most 2-year-olds, and I was scoping a whole lot of them. Ralph Katzwinkel pointed out to me that he was a horse with the most, he's never seen a horse with such a narrow trachea. So your windpipe, the entrance of his windpipe is really narrow. It never affected him as a racehorse. I think he's been a very consistent, a very good horse. But lately he's been making a little bit of a noise in work. And so I've opted to put the tongue tie on. And for the punters out there, he's made no noise with it. He's enjoyed the tongue tie. It might make quite a big difference. Also, he's got an claiming apprentice, and I've had a chat to the starter and the start. They are going to load him last because 3 times in a row he's missed it. Because he doesn't delay the start. He loads easily. He's just got restless. He used to be like that when he was a young horse, got right over it, but 3 runs back, there was a chamorse at the start, for want of a better expression, and he played up, and then he's got it back in his head that, you know, he's not so comfortable with it. So if the plan is tomorrow to have him placed, and I can tell you, if Desolate Road is sitting in 2nd or 3rd tomorrow, I won't be leaving him out the play, because if the right Desolate Road turns up tomorrow, he's a long way better than this field. I mean, he's run with the big horses. So, you know, it was in his youth, but I've just got to hope that he jumps well and he's in a good position. And then, you know, we just have to hope the Old Desolate comes. If the Old Desolate Road doesn't come tomorrow, it'll be his last run. We like that. We don't squeeze the lemon. He's been great to us. And, you know, we love them to have a great retirement. So tomorrow it's up to him.
Well, we know when I was choosing a trainer to speak to on the card, I gravitated towards the Rivalland stable because it was firstly in good form, 1. 2, you had the winner yesterday. Congratulations with that, by the way, with your winner yesterday. And then I liked, obviously, when we spoke about earlier, Captain Casey, and I liked the runners in the last race too. So I thought let's have a go at Tony and let's ask him to come onto the show. Tony, it's a great pleasure for coming onto the show for both interviews, really. I know we wouldn't run out of content to speak about because but you know, when we get together at the sales, we do tend to drag on a bit. But thank you so much for your time. I know it's New Year's Eve. I know there's a bit to celebrate and to usher the new year in, but thanks so much for your time, and all the best with your New Year's Day runners, and all the best with Cape Town and Danielle, and let's hope that she fares well, representing your family in the Okapi Ladies International on King's Plate Day.
It's been an absolute pleasure, Nico. Thanks for having me on, and thanks for all the good wishes. And I wish all your viewers, and I've watched a few of the Clocking the Gallops, you know, shows. I wish them all the best for the new year.
Thanks so much, Tony. All the best.
Pleasure. Take it easy.